What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer, and with Brigitte soon being released to live servers, if she hasn't already by the time you're watching this, now seems like a good time to discuss how long it takes for Blizzard to release new heroes. Now, I'm not talking about the downtime between Hero 26 and Hero 27, but rather the time between when a hero is first revealed and when everyone gets to actually play the new hero on the live servers. Not only does it really suck for a lot of people to have to wait all this time just to actually try the new hero out for themselves, but also in a lot of ways I think this delay is actually hurting Overwatch. So without further ado, let's jump on in and talk about it. Real quick though, if this is your first time on my channel, then don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to keep up with all my future Overwatch content. Anyways, back to new heroes. So while it is true that PC players can play the new hero as soon as they're revealed via the PTR, this does unfortunately exclude the entire console player base. Now, real quick for those of you who are unfamiliar, PTR stands for Public Test Region, which is essentially a separate server that Blizzard runs in order to test new updates before sending them through. While it's certainly used to test the balance of new heroes, abilities, maps, etc., the primary purpose of doing this is actually to make sure that there aren't any game-breaking bugs or errors within the new version. While Blizzard does test everything internally themselves before sending anything out, the PTR lets them get a much greater number of people trying out these new changes, which means that they'll be more likely to catch any major bugs that might be present. Now, moving back to console players, I've seen some people suggest why can't there just be a PTR for consoles as well? That would allow console players to try out new maps and heroes as soon as the PC players can, and also it would give them more bug testing. Well, the issue here unfortunately is something that's kind of outside of Blizzard's control, and that's because every update they have to push through to the console versions of Overwatch have to get verified by Microsoft and Sony respectively. Not only does this verification process take time, but it's also quite a bit of hassle for Blizzard to have to go through with. By comparison, PC players play on these servers directly controlled by Blizzard themselves. There's no verification process that needs to be gone through, thus giving Blizzard quite a bit more freedom when it comes to pushing through updates and even just running separate regions. So unfortunately, the idea of a console PTR is just one that's not realistic. It'll probably never be worthwhile for Blizzard to try to implement a console PTR simply because of the limitations imposed by Microsoft and Sony. So if no PTR, then what are some other ways that maybe console players could get to try out the new hero as soon as PC players can? I've heard a number of different ideas about this. One in particular that I thought was quite interesting came from a fellow Overwatch YouTuber who many of you are probably familiar with, named Bro You Whack. He proposed the idea of a new arcade game mode which would be added at the same time that the new hero was revealed, where anyone, regardless of whether you're playing on PC or console, can play the new hero within this game mode, and thus if the hero has any major bugs or issues with it, it'll be restricted to just that arcade game mode. You don't have to worry about it upsetting quick play or especially competitive. Now, while I think this is a really interesting idea, unfortunately, once again, it wouldn't work. The reason for that is when a new hero is added to the game, it is actually a much bigger addition than just tacking on some more data or whatever. When a new hero or map or anything major like that is added, it's very deeply rooted within the game itself. Even if the new hero themselves are restricted in quick play and competitive, simply their presence within the game files could potentially cause bugs in the game as a whole. Given how complicated and interwoven everything is on the coding backend of a game like Overwatch, you'd really be amazed how easy it is to screw something completely different up when you're changing something else. Therefore, a new hero arcade mode wouldn't really work because it's still possible that some file somewhere or something will get bugged simply by their presence in the game files, which could screw up something as significant as competitive mode. People get up in arms enough as is when there are server issues or something that cause them to unfairly lose SR in competitive. I couldn't imagine the customer service nightmare Blizzard would get if they added a new hero that ended up breaking the game even when it was just restricted to arcade. So unfortunately, this option isn't even one that would really end up working. The risks to game stability are just way too big for Blizzard to ever try it. Now, with regards to hero balance, let's take a look at the other post-release heroes and how things played out for them. Ana and Sombra were both on the PTR for a fairly short period of time, being only about a week each, and that unfortunately resulted in them both being fairly unbalanced by the time they actually went to live servers. While this kind of hero balance isn't quite as crucial as avoiding game-breaking bugs, it is also something that should be considered when talking about how long a hero must remain on the PTR. Orisa and Doomfist were on the PTR for much longer, being about 3 weeks each. And while I don't think anyone would say they were perfectly balanced when they did end up going to live servers, I do think they were better off than Sombra and Ana had been. Now, Moira, in my opinion, is the best case scenario. She was only on the PTR for about a week and a half, and when she did come to live servers, she was incredibly balanced. Many people regard her as the most balanced new hero Overwatch has gotten so far. And on top of that, she also had one of the shortest PTR durations. So ideally, all future heroes should be more like Moira, but unfortunately, I don't think it's as simple as just copying what they did with her. Making new heroes is very tricky on the technical side of things, and honestly, I think overall Blizzard just kind of got lucky with how balanced Moira ended up playing out. Once Brigitte is released, she will have been on the PTR for 20 days, which is almost twice that of what Moira had. While this might seem to indicate that Brigitte was less balanced or had more bugs at the time, I think really it all comes down to things that are going on internally at Blizzard. We have no way of knowing what other things they're working on and are trying to balance concurrently with Brigitte, and for all we know, there could be a lot of issues with her that we haven't even been able to experience just by playing on the PTR. And by comparison, perhaps when Moira was being released, they had more of the dev team working on her, or perhaps had gotten more done ahead of time. These are things that unfortunately we won't ever really be able to know for sure, and thus it makes it pretty difficult to try to figure out why exactly some heroes are slower than others. So now that I've spent plenty of time talking about the different heroes that have come out, and even a couple different possibilities for how to get more people to play them sooner, is there any sort of positive solution to all this? Well, honestly, the only thing I could really see happening realistically that would make heroes go through the PTR much quicker, and thus get more players able to play them sooner, is for Blizzard to just spend more time developing them internally before revealing them. Now, whether this means hiring more quality assurance testers, or spending more time earlier working on the development side and the ability balance, I don't really know. Unfortunately, there isn't just a simple, easy answer to this. It's a very technical issue, which we as the player base don't even have all the numbers for. But the reason that I think Blizzard needs to focus more on keeping short the time between the hero's reveal and release is that this huge time delay counteracts the hype of a new hero. Major content updates like new heroes, new maps, and events are the lifeblood that's going to keep a game like Overwatch lasting a long time. However, when it comes to releasing a new hero, which in my opinion is probably the game's greatest source of hype in the community, that hype gets counteracted by the long time that players have to wait before many of us get to play them in competitive or whatever, and many others even get to play them at all. I think Overwatch to some degree is being hurt by this slow process. Disregarding the fact that Brigitte won't even be playable and competitive until Season 10, having to wait 20 days between the hero's reveal and them finally coming to live servers really just sucks all around. And for us as the players, it doesn't feel good to have to wait that long, especially if you don't even get to play the new hero at all during that time. Ideally, I think Blizzard should try to make every hero more similar to Moira in regards to the quick PTR turnaround. As I already said though, that's probably much easier said than done, but I do think it should be one of their top priorities to try to focus on things like that, because otherwise a lot of the big hype potential that revolves around this kind of new content is lost by the time the new hero actually becomes playable. So finally wrapping up this video, unfortunately, I don't think there really is an easy, simple, positive solution. While I'd like to see the error and balance and bug checking of new heroes happen a little quicker, that might just simply be impossible in most situations. But then again, maybe people are still a lot more hyped for Brigitte than it seems. Let me know by voting in today's poll card whether you're more hyped than you were when she was first revealed, now that she's finally being released, or has your hype for the new hero waned given how long you've had to wait. Let me know your thoughts in general about everything I talked about here today down in the comments below, and otherwise, thank you all you all so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and turn on notifications to both help out my channel and keep up with all my future Overwatch content. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.